This one framework will make you a ton of money. I was recently featured in Sony, and if you stay right to the end of this video, you'll understand how to use this framework to make an unreasonable amount of money from an unreasonable amount of leads. Be the author of your own success story and enjoy.
There's so much good information out there when it comes to sales and marketing and branding. The problem isn't the information or the access to the information. The problem is the organization of it. It's hard to classify things and actually put them in a package so that you can apply it to your business. It's so critical that we take knowledge and that we organize it. Napoleon Hill says that knowledge only becomes power if it's actually classified and organized and put to use, that you actually act on it. And that is what this is all about in the 5-step story selling framework. So we're gonna go over the 5 steps in this video and then some of the key sub steps underneath. The first step is a character. Number 2 is has a goal. Number 3 of 5 in the 5-step story selling framework is hits an obstacle. Number 4 is guided. And last but not least, number 5, toward success. Derek Helpar has this really cool way of breaking it down. He says there's basically 3 types of personas, or in our case, characters. That comes down to informed, afflicted, and oblivious. Okay, so with the informed customer, you want to talk about your unique selling propositions. You want to talk about your features, your benefits. The second is the afflicted. So the afflicted is where your problem-aware content becomes really important. This is where they're educating themselves and they're actually trying to find solutions. Lastly, you have oblivious customers. And this is where your bait and switch comes in. So you hook them with a problem, like with the afflicted customer, but you hook them with a completely different problem, like a problem that is a result downstream of the thing that you're trying to sell. All right, next under character is the backstory. So it's really important you figure out who it is that you're actually dealing with some of the history that they've been through, where they started, where they're going, why they're going there, why it's important. So questions you might want to ask: what have you tried so far? For how long have you been trying it? When was the last time that you did try, or how long ago did you try it? Number 3 for a character is assign a role. Give them a positive role to step into. Dale Carnegie says something along the lines of give them a fine reputation to live up to, and they will make a massive effort to achieve that goal rather than have you be disillusioned, meaning because they want to live up to that role. People want to live up to, if they aspire to be something and you say that you identify them as that role that they aspire to be, then they're going to do everything in their power to walk in those shoes. So number 2 is has a goal. What's really important about this part is that you want to paint a picture. So you want people to imagine what it is to actually experience that goal. Phil M. Jones says that people will never purchase or buy into anything that they can't actually imagine themselves doing. So if they can't see themselves doing something, like literally see themselves in their head achieving the goal and actually what it feels like to win and to have success in that arena, they're just not going to participate in the commitment or the sacrifice or the effort that it takes to get there. Okay, the first part of has a goal is quantified. Quantified means that there's a number attached to it. So it means that there's an actual metric for success. The problem is that a lot of people have this idea of success. You know, like most people are like, oh, I want to be rich one day. And it's like, cool, like how much do you want to make in a year, right? And then it's just like, what's the plan? What's the breakdown? What's the numbers? The same is also true in marketing. So how do you actually quantify, like what is the metric of success? You need to be able to quantify it with numbers. Things to think about: how much, how long, and exactly how. Number 2 for has a goal is implicated. So implications means that there's stakes involved. So what are the consequences or what are the stakes of your character or your customer not actually achieving their goal that we've identified in the previous step? In Taken, Liam Neeson's consequences of not saving his daughter is that he's never going to see her again. And that's what makes the movie so intense. So just like how it was really important to paint a picture about what success looked like and felt like, it's really important to also paint a picture of what the implications are. What does failure look like? What does that feel like? So obviously with Hollywood, it's a little different. At work, it might just be something as simple as, hey, if our company doesn't increase leads by 20% by next quarter, we're gonna have to let go of 5 sales reps. And the third part, has a goal, is timing. Timing, you just simply wanna know how is it determined, how they come up with it, and what are the consequences of not achieving that deadline. If there isn't a deadline, then impose one. Elon Musk famously says, if you give yourself 3 days to clean your house, it'll take 3 days. If you give yourself 3 hours, it'll take 3 hours. So if there's not a deadline, then impose one, impose an arbitrary deadline. Number 3 of 5 in the 5-step story selling framework is hit an obstacle. So there are essentially 3 levels to every single obstacle. There's the external, there's the internal, and then there's the status. So using a weight loss example, because everyone understands weight loss really well, the external problem would be that I've had a problem losing 20 pounds for the last 3 years. The internal problem might be how that makes me feel when I'm trying to go on dates. Super insecure. I'm not as charismatic as I know I can be because I just don't feel comfortable in my own skin. But then how it affects status is, well, I can't get a girlfriend and therefore I don't think I'm gonna be able to start a family, and then I'm never gonna be able to fit in with my peers. So status is a much deeper level, and that's where a lot of people are gonna make their decisions even subconsciously from. Number 4 is guided. This is where your brand comes in. This is where your offer comes in. This is where we get to come in and save the day. We can rescue the character who has a goal, who just hasn't been able to achieve it. We know exactly what they're dealing with, and we know exactly how we're gonna help them. And we do this in 3 ways. We do it through empathy, we do it through credibility, and we do it through the outline that we give them. So with empathy, nobody cares about how much you know until they know how much you care. When HubSpot first started out and they were doing $0 a year in revenue before they took it to a multi-$100 million annual business, they got their sales representatives, and instead of doing sales training and product knowledge, they did prospect knowledge. So they actually got them to become the prospects that they're gonna be speaking to on the phone. And for 30 days, they didn't do anything about sales. They literally just got them to become the marketers that they would eventually be speaking to and then selling their solutions to. And the whole philosophy behind this was that if they know more about their prospects than their prospects know about themselves, then it would be easy to sell the solutions to them, because then they not only know the problems that they go through, but they actually know the internal problems of how that makes them feel, and then the status problems of why that's such a big fucking deal. This is a fundamental for copywriting. So for all my copywriters out there, you know that it's so important with copywriting. We want to make people feel understood. The thing is with writing and creative writing, if you're doing blogs, then the whole objective is just to make people understand. Copywriting, the whole objective is to make people feel understood. It's such a different feeling for the person on the receiving side of it to feel understood, and like they're finally connecting with someone that actually understands their goals, their aspirations, their challenges, and what they're struggling with. And if you can articulate what they're struggling with better than they're able to articulate it and themselves, they're gonna naturally put you in the role of someone that can guide them and can help them with what they're going through, and then you're gonna be the solution to their problems, and that's the whole goal. And this is why this framework is so powerful, is because it naturally, organically puts you in the position of being the obvious choice. Like, you wanna be the obvious choice and you want them to come to you. You don't wanna have to go after them. You don't wanna have to do cheap, sleazy sales tactics. You wanna actually just be empathetic and understand what it is to such a deep degree that they know that you can help them. Part number 2 of Is Guided is credibility. There's 4 ways that you can communicate your credibility, and that's through results, positioning, celebrity, and testimonials. With results, I'd recommend trying to use as much data as you can. People love to see numbers. People often think that you just have to sell to the emotional side. Like, everyone says that, people make their decisions based off of emotion, and that is true, but people also have to justify their emotional decision-making processes with logic, and you do that with reasoning. The best way to reason something is with results. Positioning is just kind of putting you in the position of other people of credibility, or some other people who have influence or authority. So if you're able to speak at like a small event, but there was other cool speakers there and you're able to position yourself, if there's some kind of way that maybe you appeared like you were on the same playing field, then that's positioning. Jason Fladine says that people love doctors. The only thing that they love more than doctors are celebrities. And the only thing they love more than celebrities are celebrity doctors. And the 4th part is testimonials. And it's as simple as just asking like 3 to 5 questions, which is simply like, hey, what was your goal before you ever heard of my brand? And what were the challenges that you were experiencing before we started working together? And can you tell me about what it's been like since we did start working together, and what have your results been? And ever since you've achieved your results, what has life looked like? Can you paint a picture for other people? Part 3 of Is Guided is outline. So simply just make a plan. Try to keep it to 3 bullet points. There's a saying that if you confuse, you lose. So think about that when you're actually putting your outline together. You do not want to confuse people. Make it as simple as possible for people to work with your brand. And last but not least, number 5, toward success. You cannot achieve success unless you actually cross that threshold. So you actually have to jump in, you have to take the leap. And the way to motivate people to do that is you have to have a clear call to action. Generally speaking, people will not take action unless they're motivated by someone else to do so. But even then, after you make a call to action, you make it clear and someone's motivated to take that action with you, there's always going to be a refusal to the call. Joseph Campbell talks about this in his book, Hero of a Thousand Faces. He says that all throughout history, you can look back in time, you can look through folklore, you can look through religious texts, you can look everywhere, and there's so much evidence that it is literally embedded in human DNA and the human psyche to refuse the call to action. there's always a refusal. And people will do that. They will make a refusal even if it is in their own best interest. But we have to know this and accept this. This is literally just part of the story arc. This is part of this story selling framework for a reason. You want to circle back to achieving the goal. You want to circle back to that image. You want to circle back to the problems. You want to talk about a lot of what you've discovered in the earlier part of this 5-step framework. You want to bring it back, and then you want to really amplify it so that you can lower that action threshold so that people actually dive in and do what is in their own best interest. And then finally, you have the return, which is the last part of the 5th step. But the return is so important. Listen, within the first 48 hours, people will decide whether they're gonna do business with your brand or with you ever again before they even receive the product. In a lot of cases, you don't get to fulfill in the first 48 hours. Like if you sell a service, it's gonna take longer than that for them to achieve their dream outcome and for you to actually help them realize that goal. But it doesn't matter. They're still gonna decide if they're gonna ever do work with you again. And so you wanna take that knowledge and you wanna actually do something with it. You can get the CEO of the company or your boss or yourself to send a video, a personalized video saying, hey, thanks so much for doing business with us. We're so happy to have you on board. We can't wait to do X, Y, Z. The point is that you're going above and beyond and you're doing something that is gonna guarantee customer retention through the long term. So don't miss out on this opportunity because it's so important, but so many people just either don't care or they just forget and they just don't implement. All right, and that's it. That's the 5 steps of the story selling framework. And listen, the whole point of this framework is that you can use it to go as deep or as wide as you need to. Whether you want to be super comprehensive and you want to go through all the additional steps, or you want to be just more concise and you want to just use it as a really simple 5-step framework and you really just want to use those 5 initial steps. Let me know in the comments below if you've had success with this framework after using it for a bit. If you think I left anything out, if you think there's anything valuable that I should have added, if there's anything that I missed, let me know. Tell me what you think I should have added to this story selling framework. And if you haven't already, please subscribe to the channel. If you think this video would be valuable for someone you know in your network, please give it a share. And remember, be the author of your own success. We'll see you on the next video.